far away from the screams, far away from the collapsing streets, far away from the smell of blood and burning flesh. Jessica Monroe lounged beneath the sunlight on the upper deck of a luxury cruise yacht drifting across the Pacific coast. The sky above her was painfully beautiful. Blue, clear, peaceful, like the world itself refused to acknowledge humanity was dying. Around her sat beautiful people with expensive smiles and empty survival instincts. Men with sculpted bodies and sharp jawlines surrounded Jessica like loyal guard dogs. Some fed her fruit, others offered drinks. One was literally holding an umbrella over her head despite the fact the yacht already had shade. Meanwhile, several girls nearby looked absolutely miserable. Mostly because half the men worshipping Jessica used to be their boyfriends. But nobody dared complain. Because Jessica's father owned the ship. And more importantly, Jessica's father controlled who stayed on the ocean and who got thrown back onto land, which was basically another word for hell now. Jessica adjusted her sunglasses lazily while scrolling through social media. No signal. Again. This apocalypse is seriously annoying. One of the girls forced out a weak laugh immediately. You're so right. Another girl nodded desperately. Jessica didn't even look at them. Then, something slammed against the lower deck railing. A loud metallic clang echoed upward. Everyone turned. A woman in a blood-soaked server uniform staggered onto the deck. Her movements were wrong. One arm bent backwards unnaturally. Skin gray. Eyes bloodshot. And yet, she was still moving. The server collapsed to her knees, dragging herself forward slowly. Like an animal following the smell of meat. Fresh blood dripped from her mouth. One of the girls screamed. Oh my God. The zombie lunged. Fast. Far too fast. Its teeth tore into the nearest girl's shoulder with a wet crunch. The scream that followed was horrifying. The infected girl thrashed violently, trying to escape while chunks of flesh ripped free from her body. Bone became visible almost instantly. Nobody moved to help her. Nobody dared. Panic exploded across the yacht. People shoved each other trying to escape. Drinks shattered across the floor. One man jumped directly over a table and abandoned his girlfriend without hesitation. Then gunshots erupted. Bang! Jessica's 2 personal bodyguards moved instantly. Elite mercenaries. Former military. Men whose families currently lived under the protection of Jessica's father. Which was really just a polite word for hostage. The first bullet struck the zombie's shoulder. The infected barely reacted. The second shot missed completely. Because the thing moved. Not like a human. Like something twitching between frames of reality. The third bullet tore into its stomach. Still no reaction. The zombie slammed into another student and ripped into his throat with savage hunger. Blood sprayed across the white deck walls. And behind them, the first bitten girl began moving again. Too quickly. Her neck twisted sharply as she rose to her feet. Dead eyes locking onto the nearest heartbeat. Oh God. The bodyguards understood instantly. Infection speed had accelerated. This wasn't normal. Jessica stumbled backward in panic. Save me. Her voice cracked into a shriek. If you idiots can't protect me, my father will make your families die worse than zombies. The 2 guards froze. For 1 second, they looked at the screaming students around them. Students begging for help. Crying their names. Reaching toward them desperately. And then they made their choice. Not heroism. Not morality. Survival. They grabbed Jessica and ran. Behind them, students screamed in betrayal. Jessica, please don't leave us. Help us. Jessica didn't even look back. The yacht descended into slaughter behind her as she escaped onto a smaller speedboat with her guards. The ocean wind whipped through her hair, while distant screams echoed behind them. One bodyguard glanced back once. His face pale. We could have defended the yacht. They had enough ammunition. Enough manpower. Enough space to survive together. But fear destroyed strategy faster than zombies ever could. Jessica crossed her arms coldly. I'm not dying for strangers. The speedboat cut across the ocean, toward the main cruise ship in the distance. Toward safety. Or so they thought. None of them realized they were sailing directly into a floating graveyard. Meanwhile, back at our apartment safe house, I was eating chicken noodle soup while watching humanity self-destruct through system notifications. Honestly, the apocalypse was exhausting. What an unbelievably selfish and incredibly stupid antagonist I created, I muttered while staring at the floating blue screen. Then I paused. Actually, no, she was originally the protagonist, which somehow made it worse. I sighed deeply. My editor loved Jessica. That man always demanded more drama. More betrayal. More manipulative characters. Looking back now, maybe that idiot saw himself in her. Then again, his terrible ideas also made my novel famous. So maybe I should forgive him a little. Across from me, Adrian quietly placed another bowl of soup onto the table. Steam curled upward between us. God. His cooking was unfairly good. Outside the reinforced windows, distant screams echoed through ruined streets. Inside, the apartment felt strangely warm. Safe. Temporary. Adrian sat beside me calmly while eating. Like the apocalypse was just background noise. Eventually, I told him about Jessica. About the yacht. About the students she abandoned. Adrian listened quietly. Then sighed once. That's unfortunate. He looked genuinely sad. For about 2 minutes. Then he took another bite of soup. It was their choice to follow her. I stared at him. This soft-hearted idiot had finally learned something. People could become monsters long before they turned into zombies. He noticed my expression immediately. You feel guilty again. Maybe. Adrian shook his head calmly. You care too much about people who would sacrifice you instantly. That hit harder than expected. I looked down at my soup silently. Then smiled weakly. Yeah, partners. I tapped the floating system window. That's why we need to get stronger, fast. As if responding to my words. Ding. A new system notification appeared. Host has triggered hidden event. Nearby, SSSS-rank legendary item detected. My spoon froze midair. Excuse me. The screen expanded. Location. Approximately 32 miles east of current safe house. 32 miles. That was roughly an hour's drive under normal conditions. During the apocalypse, basically a suicide road trip. I narrowed my eyes immediately. There's no way an SSSS-rank item appears without something guarding it. The system responded instantly. Correct. Guardian identified. Armored Titan zombie. My blood ran cold. You're kidding. Additional information. Target is currently summoning infected entities across surrounding regions. Wait. No. No freaking way. I stood up so suddenly, my chair nearly fell backward. System, are you telling me this thing is becoming a zombie king? A brief pause. Then, correct host. The room became silent. Adrian slowly lowered his spoon. Because we both understood what that meant. In the original story, Adrian himself eventually evolved into the zombie king. A conscious ruler capable of commanding every infected creature on Earth. And despite all that power, he still obeyed Jessica like a lovesick idiot. He spent 3 years personally slaughtering zombies worldwide because she asked him to. 3 years. A one-man apocalypse extermination campaign. And after he saved humanity, Jessica's father handed him to scientists for experimentation. Especially Dr. John, the man who created the virus. The same man obsessed with controlling evolution itself. The same monster who tortured Adrian endlessly trying to turn him into a weapon. But now, the timeline had changed. Adrian never got infected, meaning someone else became the king candidate instead. And if my horrible writer instincts were correct, that someone was probably Dr. John himself. "Oh, this is bad," I whispered. "Like catastrophically bad." I immediately opened the system shop. Upgrade protective suit to level 8. Purchased. My suit transformed instantly. Black armored plating spread across the fabric like liquid metal. Lightweight. Flexible. Nearly indestructible. Upgrade crossbow to level 8. Purchased. The weapon reshaped itself in my hands. Sharper limbs. Enhanced draw speed. Blue energy lines glowing faintly across the frame. Adrian watched silently while eating noodles. Honestly impressive composure. Then I upgraded his weapon. Baseball bat upgraded. Intent-type morph weapon unlocked. Adrian blinked. "What does that mean?" The bat suddenly shifted shape in his hands. A spear. Then a hammer. Then back into a bat. My jaw dropped. That's ridiculously overpowered. Current transformation limit. 8 per day. Okay, never mind. Still balanced? Barely. Then I bought speed enhancement buffs. Movement speed increased by 70% for 40 minutes. Daily usage limit 3. Not bad. Not bad at all. Adrian stood quietly afterward and adjusted his gloves. "Are we leaving now?" I nodded slowly. "We need that item before anyone else gets it. Or before the Zombie King evolved further. Because if Dr. John fully adapted, humanity was finished." The SUV we stole still smelled faintly like cigarettes and blood. The previous owner turned into a zombie halfway through trying to escape the city. We killed him near a gas station. Quickly. Cleanly. I still plan to bury the body later. Because no matter what they became, they were human first. And humans deserved dignity. Even at the end of the world. The roads were nightmares. Burned cars. Collapsed buildings. Bodies everywhere. The further east we drove, the worse the zombie density became. By the time we reached the location, my courage started collapsing. Thousands. There were thousands of zombies. The streets looked alive. A moving ocean of rotting flesh stretching across entire city blocks. I suddenly remembered one of my recurring nightmares. The dream where instead of fighting monsters, I willingly climbed into a coffin and closed the lid myself. Because hiding felt easier than resisting. And standing there now, watching that endless undead swarm, I felt that same fear again. Cold. Heavy. Paralyzing. Then suddenly, arms wrapped around me. I froze. Adrian pulled me gently against his chest. A quiet hug. Warm. Steady. And then this lunatic spoke. "Chloe." I looked up slowly. "After this, you should marry me." My brain short-circuited instantly. "What?" He looked completely serious. "Who proposes before a life-or-death battle?" Adrian thought about it briefly. "People who might die in 10 minutes. Okay. Fair point. Honestly, a terrifyingly good point." I stared at him silently for a second, then laughed despite myself. The apocalypse had officially destroyed all social pacing. So instead of answering normally, I grabbed his collar and kissed him. Quick. Warm. Desperate. When we separated, I poked his chest firmly. "I don't want a zombie husband." Adrian grinned immediately. That stupidly handsome grin. "Roger, ma'am." And just like that, we walked into hell together. The battle lasted 4 hours. 4 straight hours of blood, screams, and exhaustion. We fought like maniacs. Like 2 idiots, personally trying to fistfight the apocalypse itself. My upgraded crossbow fired endlessly. Bolt after bolt tearing through skulls with deadly precision. Adrian became something even scarier. His weapon changed constantly mid-combat. Hammer. Blade. Spear. Axe. Every transformation matching exactly what he needed. The protective suits saved us repeatedly. Zombie teeth shattered against the armor. Claws scraped uselessly across reinforced plating. Without those upgrades, we would have died within minutes. Several times, we hid beneath collapsed bushes and ruined cars, just to drink water and force vitamins down our throats before returning to battle. The smell alone was unbearable. Rotting flesh, blood, smoke, deaths, everywhere. And the worst part, the zombies still cried sometimes. Not words, not human speech, but sounds, painful sounds, like trapped people screaming underwater. Because deep inside, they were still aware, still suffering. The virus never truly killed the human mind. It imprisoned it. A fate worse than death. I killed another infected and nearly screamed in frustration. Why did I write this? No answer came from heaven. Probably because even God was judging me. Eventually, the zombies stopped advancing. Silence spread across the ruined street. Then something massive stepped forward from the darkness. 10 feet tall, covered in black armored flesh. Its body looked swollen with muscle and mutation. Veins pulsed beneath hardened skin plates like living cables. And its smile. Dear God. That smile. Intelligent. Cruel. Familiar. Dr. John. The creator of the virus. The man who destroyed humanity. Now fully evolved into something beyond human. The zombie king tilted its head slowly while staring directly at us. Like we were interesting. Like we were prey. Then it smiled wider. A horrifying grin filled with blood-stained teeth. The system notification appeared instantly. Warning. Host has encountered regional zombie king. Survival probability. 12%. I stared at the screen. Wow. Adrian rolled his shoulders beside me. Those are terrible odds. The zombie king took one step forward. The ground cracked beneath its foot. I raised my crossbow slowly. Adrian shifted his weapon into a massive black war blade. Then he grinned at me. And somehow, that grin steadied my heart again. I exhaled slowly. All right. The monster roared. The city shook. And together, we charged straight toward death. The man who wanted to heal the world. Doctor John Ashford was once called humanity's greatest healer. A miracle doctor. A saint in a white coat. The man cured diseases people thought impossible to cure. AIDS, several aggressive cancers, rare autoimmune disorders. And unlike pharmaceutical giants, he sold treatments cheaply. Almost suspiciously cheaply. People worshipped him. They called him this heavenly healer. Gentle. Soft-spoken. Selfless. A man who worked day and night to save strangers. But nobody knew the truth. Nobody knew the kind doctor who smiled warmly at cameras had a heart rotting from hatred. John was born from his mother's first marriage. His father never accepted him. In the 1960s, his father, a respected healer himself, removed John from the family registry entirely and gave the inheritance to his new wife and their son instead. John remembered everything. The giant villa. The warm dinners. The medicine cabinets overflowing with supplies. And his mother, dying from something as simple as a cold. Because his stepmother made sure no medicine reached her. John still remembered her dying in his arms. That was the day 2 people died. A loving mother. And the future hero humanity could have had. What rose afterward was something else entirely. A devil wearing kindness like a mask. John studied medicine obsessively. Not to save people. Not at first. To surpass his father. To crush him. To make the world love him more. He learned psychology to manipulate admiration. He donated publicly. Spoke beautifully. Bled for strangers while making sure cameras captured every sacrifice. When his father donated $40 million to an orphanage, John donated his final month's food money to a dying beggar covered in pox. And he quoted the Bible afterward. The poor widow's offering meant more than the rich man's silver. People adored him. Society bowed to him. And slowly, carefully, systematically, John destroyed his father's family from the shadows. Ruined businesses. Destroyed reputations. Manipulated servants. Bankrupted them completely. He won. But revenge is a double-edged sword. And every swing cuts the wielder too. By the time John finally stood above the ruins of his enemies, there was nothing human left inside him. The truth behind the Zombie King. The armored Zombie King towered before us. 10 feet tall, covered in black flesh and armored mutation. Yet behind those glowing eyes, I could still see the broken child inside. I quietly asked the system. So in the original story, he killed himself. Yes, host. The system's voice softened slightly. He intended to die after releasing the virus. Then why is he alive now? A pause. Then, the first infected was his girlfriend. I blinked. Wait, Dr. John had a girlfriend. Honestly, I imagined this man dying alone, surrounded by science papers and emotional damage. The system continued. She remained conscious after infection. My heart stopped. What? She loved him deeply. Rather than letting him die, she infected him instead. Butterfly effect. Everything changed because Adrian survived. Because the story changed. Because fate bent sideways. I exhaled slowly. Okay. I tightened my grip on the upgraded crossbow. I'll figure something out. Then the system said something that made my blood run cold. Host, this is your final mission. I froze. Final. You will return to your original world after completion. My heart immediately sank. Return. Then what about Adrian? No. No. I looked toward him instantly. He was fighting nearby, cutting through zombies like a living war machine. And suddenly, every second I wasted not loving him properly hurt. Idiot. I should have spent more time with him. But regret could wait. Survival came first. The battle against the king. I upgraded everything. Level 10 suit. Level 10 crossbow. Maximum enhancement. The system flooded us with healing potions, energy boosters, temporary defense amplifiers. Adrian's morph weapon evolved again. Now it shifted almost instantly according to his intent. Sword. Spear. Hammer. Scythe. We became monsters fighting monsters. Thousands of zombies died. Literally thousands. Bodies piled across ruined streets like mountains of flesh. The Zombie King realized something terrifying halfway through the battle. He was losing. And panic finally appeared in his eyes. With a roar, he summoned a massive horde toward us. An ocean of undead flooded the battlefield. But Adrian and I already had a plan. I'll hold them. Adrian spun his weapon into a massive black greatsword. Go. I sprinted forward with enhanced speed. The Zombie King fled through collapsing buildings. Vast. Desperate. Terrified. Good. I chased him across rooftops and burning streets while firing explosive bolts into his armored body. One shattered his shoulder. Another pierced his leg. Black blood exploded across concrete walls. Still he ran. Until finally, I landed before him and fired one final bolt directly through his chest. The impact blasted him backward into the pavement hard enough to crater the street. The Zombie King collapsed at my feet. Broken. Bleeding. Dying. And for the first time, he looked human. Johnny. He coughed black blood weakly. Worthless humans. I slowly walked toward him, then quietly asked, "Was it worth it, Johnny?" He froze instantly. His entire body trembled. How? His voice cracked. How do you know that name? Tears formed in his eyes. Only my mother called me that. I knelt beside him quietly. I'm sorry for what happened to you. His breathing became uneven. You searched for answers in hatred, I said softly. You memorized the Bible hoping God would explain your pain. His eyes widened. But you convinced yourself Jesus abandoned you. His body shook violently now. So you decided to correct humanity yourself. Tears streamed down his monstrous face. Why? His voice broke completely. Why would I ever be forgiven? He began sobbing. I killed people. I destroyed lives. I became this. I smiled sadly. Because your mother still loves you. Silence. She still prays for you. He stared at me in disbelief. A liar. His voice became childlike. She never came to my dreams. Then suddenly, the system appeared before us. Not as blue windows. Not as light. But as a woman. Soft eyes. Warm smile. A mother's face. Johnny. The zombie king completely shattered. Mom. His scream echoed across the battlefield. My sweet child, she whispered while touching his face gently. What have you become? The giant monster cried like a little boy. Mom, I'm sorry. You still have time, she whispered lovingly. Repent. You are still loved. You always were. And then, a crimson flower materialized into existence, burning with phoenix-like flames. An SSSS-rank item. The true cure. The antidote. The system chimed softly. Thank you, host. Dr. John and his beloved will now complete the cure. The world will heal. Goodbye. The battlefield slowly faded into silence. The system turned toward me again. You will return to your original world in 3 days. As reward, $1 billion transferred. Luxury penthouse granted at Central Park Tower. I blinked. Excuse me. The system laughed softly. I cannot thank you enough, Chloe. I smiled weakly. You already did. Then I looked toward Adrian. Can I bring him with me? The system grinned. Done. Home. 3 days later. The cure spread worldwide. Dr. John and his girlfriend released it freely. No patents. No money. No greed. Humanity slowly began healing. And then, the transfer started. Light wrapped around my body. I reached desperately toward Adrian. Adrian. But horror filled me instantly. Another version of me stood beside him. A perfect copy. And I was ripped away before touching him. I woke up back in my old apartment. My phone buzzed immediately. Bank notification. $1 billion and 30 cents deposited. 30 cents. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Another notification informed me my luxury penthouse was ready. But none of it mattered. Because Adrian wasn't there. The apartment felt empty. Cold. Wrong. Still. Life moved forward. With a heavy heart, I packed my belongings and arrived at the penthouse hours later. The building was breathtaking. Marble floors. Golden lighting. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking New York City. And yet, I felt hollow. I dragged my suitcase toward the elevator absent-mindedly. Then stumbled near the stairs. A strong arm caught me instantly. Warm chest. Firm grip. And a familiar voice whispered beside my ear. Wow, baby, dramatic much. My entire body froze. You killed thousands of zombies like a war goddess. And now stairs almost defeated you. I looked up. Red-rimmed eyes. Handsome idiot smile. Adrian. Alive. Real. I burst into tears immediately. Adrian. He laughed while pulling me into his arms. People nearby smiled watching us kiss, like idiots in the middle of the lobby. And honestly, for once, the ending felt earned. A real happy ending. For Chloe. For Adrian. And finally, for tears of blood. Thanks for watching until the very end. If this story pulled you in, don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, and tell me your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. And if you want more dark stories, cursed worlds, impossible choices, and sleepless nights, subscribe to the channel. Until next time, see you in the next nightmare.